Hi, it's Kyle from Bitewing Games, and today we're learning how to play San Francisco. San Francisco is a game for 2 to 4 players that plays in about an hour. It's designed by the only true and living doctor, Reiner Knizia, and is published by Rebel Studios. The point of the game is to win, and you win by having the most points. Points are earned in a handful of different ways, but basically you'll earn points by being the first to complete one of the 5 colored districts, by having the most cable cars, or by having the most workers in a district. Let's take a look at the setup. For your first game, you will have to assemble these adorable little towers. Place the scoring board in the middle of the table. Place all of the scoring tokens on their associated locations. The board shows which tokens to place if you're playing a 2, 3, or 4 player game. There are bonus cards and tokens. Place them on their associated locations on the main board. Place the project board underneath the main board. Set out foundation tokens in stacks of 2, again, following the symbols for a 2, 3, or 4 player game. So in a 2 player game, play with 6 foundation tokens. Shuffle and place the project cards next to the project board. Place all remaining tokens within reach of all players. Give each player a city board. The player who most recently rode a cable car will go first, and then you'll go clockwise around the table for the rest of the game. On your turn, you simply have 2 options. Option number 1 is to place projects, and option number 2 is to take projects. To place a project, select the top card from the project deck and place it face up in one of the 3 columns of the project board. There's no limit to the number of projects in a column. If the project shows this symbol, place the leftmost available foundation tile on that project card. Option 2 is to take all of the projects in one of the 3 columns. When choosing to take projects, you can only do so if there are more projects in that column than you have contracts. So if I have 2 contracts, I can only take projects if that column has 3 projects. So what are contracts and how do you get them or get rid of them? Each time you take projects, you will also take 1 contract. It doesn't matter if I take 1 or 3 projects that turn, I just take 1 contract. At all points of the game, at least 1 player should have 0 contracts. So if Amanda, who has 0 contracts, takes these 2 projects, she would also take a contract. At this point, all players have at least 1 contract. So each player returns 1 contract back to the center. So you will either place or take contracts. So what do you do with the contracts that you've taken? Each project will match one of the 5 districts in your city. The color in the upper left corner shows which district it belongs to. Place the projects in the matching colored district, starting with the leftmost available space of that row. If you are the first to complete a specific district, earn the associated point token from the central board. If you take a project but don't have room for that color, simply discard that card. And you never have to place a project you take. You can choose to discard it, even if you have room for it. Some of the projects are black in the upper left corner. These are wilds and may be placed in any district. Along with a color, many of the project cards will have a symbol on them, helping you to earn points in some way. So let's take a look at the different symbols on the cards. The first symbol is this little worker symbol. The number of workers is important for multiple reasons. The first reason is for foundations and skyscrapers. Remember that when placing project cards with this symbol, you will add a foundation token to the card. Once this card is in your city, you can potentially build a skyscraper here. To be able to build a skyscraper, you'll need to have 7 workers on adjacent spaces. Adjacent does not include diagonals, so if the adjacent location contains 7 or more workers, you will place a skyscraper on top of the foundation. Skyscrapers are worth 1 point each at the end of the game. And this is a low-scoring game, so 1 point is kind of a big deal. The first player to build a skyscraper takes the Master Builder's medal. This is also worth 1 point at the end of the game. But it can be stolen. Anytime another player builds more skyscrapers than the player who currently has it, that player will snatch it out of their grasp. And to clarify, you have to have more skyscrapers than the player you're stealing the medal from, not the same number. The next project card reduces the required cost for skyscrapers. Instead of a foundation card requiring 7 adjacent workers, it will now cost 6, or 5 if you have 2 of these cards. Next up, cable cars. At the bottom of your player board, you have a depot and cable car network. Anytime you place a card that has the cable car tracks and it connects back to your depot, you may place a cable car on that card. To clarify, each card that has the tracks on it should have a cable car placed on it if it connects back to the depot. It doesn't have to be immediately when you place the card. In this case, when you play the green cable car tracks, both the yellows are now connected, so you will place cable cars on all 3 cards. Some project cards will have a new depot. This allows you to connect cable cars to this depot in the same way you did the depot printed on the bottom of the player board. Why do we even want cable cars? We'll get to that in just a minute when we talk about scoring. The City Square project card is only found on the 3 middle colored districts, where a city square would be. This card has a value of 4 workers, if it is adjacent to a card that is part of a cable network. In this case, there is no cable network next to it, so it's worth 0 workers. On to the last symbol, bonuses. After placing your second bonus card into a specific district, take the associated bonus, which is the card or token on the right-hand side of the central board. So after placing my second blue bonus card, I get to take this bonus. The blue bonus is 2 workers that I immediately place on any existing project card in my district. The brown bonus is a black card that I immediately place in any open location, and it's worth 4 workers. The orange bonus is a black card that I immediately place on any open location, creating a new cable car depot. The yellow bonus is a token awarding me 1.5 points. The green bonus is the token that I can save to use at any point. I can discard this token to also discard up to 2 contracts. I don't know why I struggled so much with this concept of contracts and taking projects. So remember, in order for me to take projects, I have to have fewer contracts. So if I can discard some of my contracts, that allows me to more easily take more project cards. The last bonus available is a wild bonus. At any point when taking a bonus, I could choose to take the wild bonus instead of the bonus for that colors bonus. This token is laid on top of any card, helping to extend your cable car network. The game ends immediately when a player has filled up their entire board, or when the last foundation tile is taken and placed on a project card. That means that when a project card is placed and the last foundation is placed on that card, the game ends immediately. So we're at the end of the game and very few points have been awarded. So let's take a look at the final scoring. For each district, the player with the most workers earns the associated point tokens. In a 2-player game, the winner gets 2 points. In a 3-player game, there is a first and second. And in a 4-player game, the 4th player loses a point. Determine the winner for each district and award the points. If there's a tie, compare the tied player's leftmost card in that district. The higher value wins the tie. Still a tie? Keep comparing the next leftmost column in that district until you've figured out who the winner is. The player with the most cable cars wins tokens in the same manner. First, second, and last place in a 4-player game. Again, if there's a tie, compare the leftmost column. Total your points, and the player with the most points wins. As a reminder, points can be scored from skyscrapers, the Master Builder's Medal, yellow bonus tokens, tokens for being the first to complete each of the 5 districts, tokens for having the most workers per district, and points for having the most cable cars. And now you know how to play San Francisco. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. Until next time.